My name is Michelle Martin Bonner, and I am the owner of AIM Empowerment. That is a consulting firm, and I work in professional development. And today, I'm going to be sharing with you some leadership tips and hopefully some nuggets that you can take away with you that will be helpful for you on your journey for your business or your ministry. And so, what I want to talk about today is embracing accountability, why great leaders own their mistakes and grow from them. And let me just say this, we all make mistakes, none of us are perfect. And it's just so important that as a leader, as a business owner, in the ministry, that we acknowledge and embrace the fact that we do, in fact, make mistakes. And so leadership, it's not about being infallible. It is about being accountable to yourself and accountable to others. And great leaders understand that acknowledging their mistakes and taking steps to self correct are critical components of effective leadership. And hopefully, this approach is not only going to help enhance your personal growth, but also foster a culture of trust. Trust is so important in any situation, in any organization, and resilience, right? The ability to continue to go forward, to be strong, and continuous improvement within your team. And so here's why the ability to acknowledge and correct your mistakes is a hallmark of good leadership. First, the importance of acknowledging your mistakes. Mistakes are inevitable in anything, no matter what. We all, like I said earlier, are going to make them. However, the way leaders handle their mistakes sets the tone of the entire organization or business and even ministry. And so acknowledging your mistakes is important for several reasons. And so just think about this, right? First, when I talked about that trust, building trust, being transparent, transparency and honesty are the foundations of trust. When leaders openly acknowledge their mistakes, they demonstrate that they are operating in integrity and authenticity, which strengthens the trust among their team members, their ministry members. It is the foundation of any relationship. And so building that trust and that transparency is absolutely necessary. Also, it fostering a learning culture. When you make a mistake and you acknowledge that you make a mistake, you don't know everything. I don't know everything. And so recognizing mistakes promotes a culture of learning and growth. It also encourages your team members to view errors as an opportunity. And so when someone makes a mistake, ask yourself, how do you respond? Do you get angry? Do you get upset? Do you yell? How do you respond? And so how you respond, and even for yourself as a leader, do you see it as an opportunity for development rather than a source of shame or fear? Because when you create fear or shame, not only for yourself, but for others, that impedes your ability to move forward and learn from it. So you want to foster a learning culture. The other thing important about it is encouraging accountability, right? By taking responsibility for your actions, right? As a leader, you have to model accountability. And this sets an example for others to follow, right? Promoting a culture where everyone is accountable for their performance and their decisions. In this world, people don't want to be held accountable, but you have to hold them accountable. Otherwise, the fallout is going to be negative. It can create chaos. And so some of the benefits of self-correction as a leader, first of all, acknowledging your mistake is only the first step. Effective leaders also take proactive steps to self-correct, meaning, okay, I made a mistake. I need to do something about that, right? This process involves identifying the root causes of your mistakes, implementing corrective measures, right? Looking at the process and then what are some improvement processes, continuously striving for improvement. How can I do this better? The benefits of self-correction, is so important. And that, again, it includes that continuous improvement. You should always want to get better. You should always want to, do more or do something differently, right? And leaders who are willing to learn from their mistakes and make necessary adjustments are better equipped to enhance their performance and achieve their goals. Secondly, innovation. Innovation. Leaders who embrace self-correction. If you self-correct, by addressing and learning from your mistakes, you're creating an environment where it's okay to experiment. It's okay to get creative and think of, what, how can I solve this problem differently? And include other ideals and other people in that solution solving, right, process. And then resilience. The ability to self-correct builds resilience. Leaders who can adapt and bounce back from setbacks are more likely to navigate their challenges successfully and inspire others on their team to do that, right? So you got to be able to bounce back from the setbacks. And you're going to come back, and you're going to come back stronger. So it's so important that we're able to do that, right? And then you got to have some strategies, right, for effective self-correction. And so leaders can adopt several strategies to effectively acknowledge their mistakes and self-correct. One of them, reflect. Take the time to sit back and ask yourself and analyze. And when I use the word analyze, I don't mean analysis or, to the point where you're paralyzed, where you're not doing anything, but set aside half an hour, what it takes, and think about what could you have done differently, reflect on the mistake, what was the cause of it, and then understand why it occurred. And that's so important, right, in terms of creating and implementing some corrective actions for yourself. And so this process involves asking yourself questions. So what went wrong? Where did it fall down? And what could have been done differently? And then what are the lessons that can be learned? And then also ask for feedback, seek feedback from others, solicit feedback from others to gain different perspectives on the mistake, right? And your team members, if you've created this environment of transparency and honesty and trust, they're going to feel comfortable enough and safe enough, because they got to have some psychological safety, meaning they can express themselves and not be fearful of retaliation or harassment. But if you ask your teams or your peers, and even mentors who can provide valuable insight that may not be apparent, from your viewpoint, because we are single-minded sometimes, and sometimes we can't see with our own lens what we're doing wrong or what we could do differently, right? And so that constructive feedback, and I mean constructive feedback, I'm not talking about jumping on somebody, being negative and tearing them apart, but feedback that helps them identify their blind spots and areas for improvements. We all need constructive feedback. The third thing is to implement some corrective actions, right? So develop and implement a plan to address the mistake and prevent it from reoccurring. And this might involve revising your process. It might mean you need to look at how you're assembling your work product. It might mean improving on your communication, finding other ways to communicate, better ways to communicate, maybe communicating more frequently, right? It may be providing additional training, or making some strategic adjustments. And so the goal is to turn the action into something that is a lesson that's been learned and into some tangible improvements. And let me go to the next thing: communicating transparently. Whew. Everybody cannot do that. And it's so important. And there's so much misinformation out here now, but it is so important that we communicate transparently and communicating openly, right, with your team. If you make a mistake, and that you let them know, you know what, we're going to take the steps. I'm going to take the steps personally to correct it. And transparency fosters trust, and it ensures everybody, that you're aware of the changes, that need to be made. You're going to implement them. And it's going to encourage your other team members to share their own mistakes, right? We want people to be able to share with us and create that relationship and that bonding in that space where we're not afraid to share with one another. That's the only way we grow. We grow from sharing, from modeling, and providing each other with the support that we need to improve, to move forward, and to get better. And number 5, you want to commit to your own personal growth, right? View mistakes as opportunities to develop whatever skill set it is that you're working on. So if you're a public speaker, you have to speak more. If you're in marketing, you have to come up with marketing strategies and ideals that work. Whatever it is, if you're an administrative assistant, what are the things that you need to do to increase and enhance your own professional growth? And so you want to embrace a growth mindset where challenges are seen as opportunities to learn and develop. And the mindset fosters resilience and a continuous drive for self-improvement. Number 6, celebrate your progress. Celebrate your wins, no matter how big or how small. You have to take the time to celebrate progress and acknowledge that, what? I self-corrected. I did something. I improved upon this. I'm not doing this anymore. And now I'm doing this, and I can see progress. But recognizing your improvement and your success reinforces the value of learning from your mistakes, and it motivates continued efforts. And so it's all on how you look at it, right? So if you don't look at it as a negative and look at it as a positive, it's all about changing your mindset about making mistakes and owning them. And so good leaders, they are not afraid to acknowledge their mistakes. They are not afraid to say, you know what, I need to make some improvements. They're not afraid to communicate and be transparent with their teams. And again, that is what makes them a good leader. And so, in conclusion, what I want you to take away from this is that good leaders acknowledge their mistakes. They take those proactive steps to self-correct. And this approach definitely builds trust. It fosters a culture of accountability, and it drives continuous improvement. And then by reflecting on your actions, seeking that feedback, implementing those corrective measures, communicating transparently, committing to your own personal growth, and then celebrating your progress, leaders can turn mistakes into stepping stones, into wins for success. And so when you embrace this mindset of accountability for your mistakes, this not only enhances your own leadership capabilities, but it also inspires your team to strive for excellence and resilience. And in a world where we are constantly evolving, change is happening, we're faced with challenges every day. They are constant and they're not going to stop. But the ability to acknowledge and correct your mistakes is a vital trait for effective and strong, solid, good leadership. And so hopefully I've shared with you some nuggets, some information with you that you will find valuable. And I will say to you, go forth, do well in everything that you do. My name is Michelle Martin Bonner, and thank you so much.